everybody? What's up? That was too loud. I'm trying to turn my hair down so you don't hear that. You don't keep seeing my hair flip through the air. I really need a haircut. But that is not what this is about. This is about rolling up my windows because it's really hot. No. No, this is about the original Final Fantasies because I have beaten all of them now. I've beaten all of the main titles. Because the online ones don't count, so 11 and 14 don't count. Although I have played 14. But because they cannot be beaten in the sense that their story ends officially, they don't count as main title Final Fantasies. So they really never should have been given Roman numeral numbers, to be honest, because of the fact that they can't be beaten, you know? But that is a topic for another day. So I just wanted to kind of, talk about just my recapping of all the ones I've played. Final Fantasy 1, beat that one a couple weeks ago, and I can see why many people enjoyed it at the time it was made. Because it had a lot of the same quality and aspects of Dragon Warrior, now known as Dragon Quest. It's very similar. You wake up naked in a field randomly, no backstory, no identity to speak of, and you're just on a mission to save the world. Standard NES hero background. Which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you look at Legend of Zelda, the original one, very similar. You're just some elf kid who just is okay, you're on an adventure, no backstory. Sorry, I'm driving. So, but anyway, so the first one, like I said, not major lack of. Sorry about that. Major lack of story and whatnot, and it really does not help you in terms of telling you where to go. That is probably the thing that I think I found most annoying about the original one, is that it doesn't tell you what to do. Even talking to townspeople doesn't help. You're just kind of on your own, figure it out, good luck. And I'm not saying that it's bad. Like I said, it holds the charm of the average RPG, but it upgraded it with how it went about its stuff. Now, the version I played, the Pixel Remastered, has the background like a normal Final Fantasy does, whereas the original was just a black screen, and you saw the enemy and the party, and that was it. So visually, obviously, the Pixel Remaster is superior, and it does add a little bit of backstory that the original didn't possess, but not of the characters. More so, it's the backstory of the story of the game. So again, not terrible by any means, but it is definitely not a game that I'm just gonna go back and play again, because even with the boosters for gold and experience, it was, I don't want to say challenging, because I beat it with no one dying, but it was, I really don't know how to describe it. More complicated than I thought it would have been, because you're also limited to each of the classes, and the thief class is essentially useless because in the first one he couldn't steal, so it's and I don't know if he could steal in the second one, to be honest. Well, there wasn't really a thief there wasn't really there wasn't really a class in the second one, but we'll get to that in a second. So the thief was useless, so I ended up using warrior, white mage, and black mage. And whether or not that was the right thing to do, I can't really say. The warrior obviously was useful. Black mage was useful. White mage was useful. The red mage was useful in the beginning, but not so much towards the end, even with the upgrade with Bahamut. So, I personally don't recommend using the red mage because their magic sucks no matter what. All they really are is going to act as like a reinforcement bonus to what the superior mage is doing. So definitely don't get the red mage. If anything, I'd either double down on a white mage or I would double down on warrior. Probably warrior, to be honest. Ranking it on a scale of 5 stars, I think I would give it maybe a 3. And you gotta think, like, that's not a bad score. Like, that's an okay score. You know, it's you're not saying it's good, but you're not saying it's bad either. It's okay. Tom Hanks is you know, are all of his movies solid A plus? No. But are they ever bad? Also no. So yeah, I would say Final Fantasy 1, it's Tom Hanks. I'm gonna rank it at Tom Hanks and leave it at that. Now, Final Fantasy 2. I actually enjoyed it. I think I would. Because all the criticisms I saw for Final Fantasy 2, its battle system and its leveling up system, because there isn't levels. You level up the different attributes, and what is going on? Sorry, I'm driving, so I am tempering myself, but there is an internal rage growing inside me. But anyway, so I really thought that I wasn't going to like Final Fantasy 2, but I did. It had a lot of story to it, significantly more than the first one. So that was really cool. I was very happy about that. Jesus Christ. Could you people go? So, we are on a hill. Why are you not moving? So, this is really bothering me. But the leveling up, the attributes, again, you know, I can see why people would be mad with it because it is complicated and it's very weird. But it was also this, you know, there's a few things you got to take into account. Why are you not moving? There's no one in front of you. You're just not driving. Like, are you having a meltdown? And with the boosters, it's helpful because it goes by so much faster. But I could definitely see why people would not like it because at the time, like, you know, without the boosters, you're getting very little experience. So you're well, and there's not really experience. It's like each time you use a move, each time, you know, all these different things. Like every time you get hit, that's going to increase the odds of your HP going up. Now with the Pixel Remaster, it's different because it automatically, if you enable it to, it automatically sets it so your HP in every few battles, no matter what. So that's handy. But like each time you use a weapon, it increases it, magic and all that. And if you use white magic, it improves, I think it's spirit, and black magic is intellect. So, but the thing I liked most about Final Fantasy 2 was that it had story. Not the greatest story, but significantly more than the first one had. And so, yeah. But I liked it. I was expecting to fight the Heaven version of the Emperor, and I did not know that that was a 3DS or DS release only. I didn't know that. So that was a little bit disappointing, but not too terribly like disappointing. Like it's not like I'm like, oh, this ruined the experience of the game, because that's not the case. Like it was still an enjoyable game. And everything, and I totally liked it. I could see myself playing it again. And definitely not one of my favorites, but I could definitely see myself playing it again. I can't say the same about Final Fantasy. You almost hit that guy, dude. Wow. Just totally blew through that stop sign. Um, but it went back to the formula of the first one in regards to no real backstory. Gives it a little bit, not a whole lot. And the job system sucks compared to Final Fantasy V. But Final Fantasy V, perfection on the job system. Unless they, I don't see. But anyway, it just wasn't very, because there's times where you have to like make someone a thief to get through. Like in the final dungeon, you have to have a thief to get involved the job system. Oh yeah, so like you have to be a thief, and with like the Pixel Remaster, sure you have the turn off encounters, so you can make sure you don't get into a bad lit. If you're doing regular no turning off the encounters, you run the risk of sorry, trying to adjust my camera while driving. You run the risk of getting into a battle with someone as the thief. You may not have armor for them. You probably won't have any weapons of worth, and they might die. And in the original Final Fantasies, death was not cool, because you had to go find some random priest to bring him back to life, unless you had a Phoenix down, which cost like $1 million freaking dollars. So, it was just not great. But, I enjoyed Final Fantasy 3. The other big critique I have of Final Fantasy 3, it went back to the same magic system as 1. So, Final Fantasy 2 introduced MP, which was brilliant. But Final Fantasy 3 decided to go back to Final Fantasy 1's version, where you just had a set amount of times you could use a spell. And as you got better, you got more, you got to use it more. But it's like, unless you're gonna grind for hours and get up to level 99, which I'm not doing, you're limited. So you gotta save up those elixirs. And the third one has no ethers. I don't get that. Has elixirs though. Those are actually pretty common, surprisingly. But yeah, that's probably the biggest gripe I have. As far as, battle system wise, I did fine, although I will say, so I had one character be the knight, and while he was great in the beginning, not so much towards the end. And I mean, he continued to level up properly. I mean, he was almost like, I think that was like a level 40 knight, and despite that, he just really wasn't hitting hard, and he had the best weapons. I mean, I made him a ninja. I take that back. I made him a ninja in the end, and that's what made him better. But like when he was a knight, I gave him Excalibur and I think some other really good sword, and it didn't matter. Like, he did not take off much, and my magic users were taking off like so much more damage, like double what he was taking. So once he became a ninja, it was so much better. Which, that's another thing. My advice for Final Fantasy 3 for the final boss. So you will find a bunch of shurikens, and you can buy them. Buy as many as you can. I'm talking, if you can buy 20, do it. So Cloud of Darkness will use Particle Beam for sure once a turn, possibly twice a turn if you're unlucky. Now, Particle Beam will take off a significant portion of your health. 2 blasts shouldn't kill you off, depending on what level you're on. I think I was on level 50. So, level 50, it didn't kill me off 2 consecutive blasts, but almost killed me off. So, you're definitely going to end up using Curaja, and you're going to have a limited amount of Curaja unless you're a grinder, which like I said, I'm not a grinder. I tried the Summoner out for a little bit, but I found that while the Summoner was great, it was more novelty than anything else. Because Bahamut, Powerhouse, he's your best summon. He takes off, at the level I was at, he was taking off $5 grand. at best, and at worst, he took off $3,000. And because it varied, it's weird. Like apparently, it's like a slot system, like a fucking a slot machine. Like you might get lucky, but so it really just wasn't useful to do that. So actually, I might have left him as a summoner. I can't remember. I just beat it a few days ago. But so yeah, overall, Final Fantasy 3 not that bad at all. Final Fantasy 4 I played a long time ago, so I can't remember everything about it, to be honest. But I started it up again. But I do remember enjoying it. It was the first old Final Fantasy game that I beat. Because before that, I hadn't beaten 5 or 6, even though I had them first. I hadn't beaten them because I couldn't do it. Because I was a kid, so I sucked at like the level grinding, and because Final Fantasy V requires a level of devotion to grinding to get the proper stats and abilities you want to the mime or bear class with all the other jobs. So that was something I did not do when I was younger at all. I was one of those, I'm gonna make everyone a summoner and spam Bahamut, but unfortunately that doesn't work if you're not on a high enough level, and even if you are on a high enough level, I don't recommend it personally. Oh god, excuse me. But Final Fantasy 4 I do remember enjoying. I did not play the After Years. I probably won't ever do it. I don't care, to be honest, because to me it's a side story. It's a miniature sequel. So for me, it's not necessary. It might fill up some story and whatnot, but I don't think it's necessary, and I don't feel a loss at not playing it. But I'm playing 4 right now, and once I beat that, well, there's nothing beating it. So, but it'd be nice to just be refreshed with what happened. 5 probably is my favorite of the first 6. I really enjoyed 5 a lot. There was, like, in terms of character development, that one did it properly, most, perfectly when with the character development in comparison to the other. Because, you gotta remember, the first game, hardly any character development. Final Fantasy 2, well, first game, no character development, because your characters did not exist before the moment you turned the game on. As far as the game's backstory is concerned. Final Fantasy 2, you have characters, finally. Oh, God. With names and identities, but their backstory is limited to 4 orphaned youths are running. And then they get caught by the Empire. Well, they get killed. Not killed, but they get wounded by the Empire. And then saved by Minwu, or whatever the hell his name is, right? Final Fantasy 3, no backstory. Now, when they did the remake for the DS or 3DS or whatever, they did backstory. They gave you actual character names. Lunith, Ingus. That's all I remember. I don't remember the other ones. But as far as the original, no character development. So Final Fantasy 4 was the first one with actual characters, with actual backstories, while seemingly far-fetched. But Final Fantasy 5 there is development. It is fast developed, but that is not surprising when you're talking about an old system. You kind of have to have a quick development. So you get backstory that leaves questions, because this was the formula, okay, a lot, and they use this formula a lot in Final Fantasy, not just the old ones. They do it in 7 and 8 too, but they'll give you background story that leaves you wondering, like with questions, and then they fill it in as you complete each story arc. Like Cid in Final Fantasy 7, he dreamt of going to space, things got screwed up for him and he's mad, but you don't know why, and then you find out the truth. He loves what is her name? The girl. I can't remember her name. I don't remember it. I think it's Shara, something like that. Anyway, not important. So, but Final Fantasy V, probably my favorite of the original 6, for sure. Great game, great magic, you know, because like Final Fantasy 2 gives you too many spells that are all ridiculous. Final Fantasy V, perfect balance of spells, perfect balance of summons, does a great job, absolutely fantastic. Difficulty, the game does have it. The game does go from moderate to super hard really quickly. Because like it's hard, it's challenging through the fire crystal, but when you get to the earth crystal, that's when they crank it way up and it becomes significantly harder. So the boss guarding the earth crystal in Final Fantasy V, yeah, you fight him twice. So you fight him the first time, super powerful, will kick your butt, changes his weakness on the regular, and I think with a blue mage you can scan him. But at this point in the game, you're probably not going to be using a blue mage because blue mage really isn't all that strong, and you should have mastered the learn and blue ability, so you could just give those to whoever else, or give it to a different job. You know. Excuse me, and still use that magic. So yeah. But anyway, once you defeat the boss, then it comes back as an undead monster. Super strong, again. Less hit points, but still very strong. But anyway, Final Fantasy V, great game. Final Fantasy VI, the one that every fanboy loves. This is like the Final Fantasy VI and 7 is the division point of Final Fantasy fans. So you have your I love and worship Final Fantasy VI to its core fans, and they hate 7 with a passion, and then you have the I love Final Fantasy 7, screw you Final Fantasy 6 fanboy and fangirls. I love Final Fantasy 7. I don't care if you love Final Fantasy 6, but anyone who says it's superior, I'm sorry, but it's not. Now, you don't have to agree 7 is superior, but 6 is not the superior Final Fantasy. I'm sorry. 6, while it is a good game, and it does have good characters, it suffers from a few fatal flaws. The big one, way too many characters, no character arcs really getting completed. None of them are even really required. Like Locke, who is arguably a main character, don't have to complete his story arc at all. Terra, while you have to complete her story arc throughout the game's events, you do not need her for the final fight, and you can completely do it without her. And she is arguably the true main character of Final Fantasy VI. But yeah, beyond that, the questionable, not questionable so much, but the things that I don't like about it, I'm not a big fan of the villain. I don't like Kefka as a villain. To me, he doesn't inspire interest. So for me, a Final Fantasy villain has to be intriguing. There has to be something about the villain that makes me kind of want to root for them a little bit, or I have to just want to hate them because of their villainy. And Kefka doesn't offer that. He's just a sociopath. He's just the Joker with way too much ambition, and it's just not, to me, it's just not very good. And that's just my opinion. I don't condemn anyone who likes Final Fantasy VI. You're gonna like whatever game you like. For a lot of these Final Fantasy VI fanboys and girls, I imagine it was their first one, because Final Fantasy VII was my first one, and that's why it's my favorite. And it's an amazing game, but it's also my favorite. It's very possible that if Final Fantasy VIII had been my first, that one would have been my favorite, because I do enjoy Final Fantasy VIII. I hated it when I was younger, but now that I'm better, I like it. But Final Fantasy VI, like I said, it is a good game. but it has those flaws. The other big flaw, like issue that I have with it is the summoning. So like you're limited to the crystal of the summon you're holding. So you can summon that summon, but you're limited. Really, people? Okay. Well, I'm stuck in the intersection because people don't want to drive. Well, there's someone behind me, so at least I'm not the asshole. Anyway. But yeah, I don't like that. That you're limited by that. But other than that, great game. It is a good game. I do like it. I played it more than once. So, Final Fantasy VI has a replayability. It just has too much of it. It's too diverse with its cast. Too many people. It's just too much. That's the same thing that I have against Chrono Cross. Too many characters. Just give me a solid 6. Maybe 7 characters. And that's it. But yeah, that was my recounting. I am going to do actual reviews per video, per Final Fantasy game. Starting with the originals, since I just, played them and beat them. But I just want to talk about just kind of my recapping of my feelings on each one. Definitely rank number 5 as my favorite of the original 6. I would then say probably 4. I would put 6 and 2 as equal. And then I would do 3 and 1. 1 is my least favorite. Now, that doesn't mean, like I said, that doesn't mean it's bad. I'm just saying, for me personally, shit, I'm in the wrong lane. For me personally, I'm not a big fan. But anyway, that was all I got on that. I am finalizing my video stuff. I promise it will be out soon. Thank you all for watching, and I will talk to you later.